When family turns their back. My sister took over my house, and my father defended her. I've always believed that family is supposed to be your strongest support system. They're the ones who should stand by your side, through thick and thin. And that's why when my sister, Jenna, called me in tears, I didn't hesitate for a moment. She was heartbroken, having just ended a long-term relationship with her boyfriend, and she needed a place to stay. I didn't think twice about offering her the guest room in my house. But in the days that followed, I began to realize that my definition of family and Jenna's were two completely different things. My home, the space I had worked so hard to call my own, was about to be turned upside down by someone I thought I could trust. It all started innocently enough. Jenna arrived with just a few bags, looking like the world had collapsed around her. I felt sorry for her. She'd always been a bit dramatic, but this time she seemed genuinely hurt. She had nowhere to go, and although our relationship had its ups and downs, I felt responsible for helping her get back on her feet. The first week, she mostly kept to herself, which I thought was for the best. I'd see her lounging around the house, browsing through her phone, or watching TV late into the night. I offered to help her look for apartments, but she always dodged the conversation, claiming she needed more time to get herself together. I wasn't in a rush to push her out. After all, she was my sister. Then, subtle comments started. At first, they were harmless observations about my life. "Wow, you really have a lot of space here, more than you need for just one person," Jenna said one evening as we sat at the dining table. I laughed it off, thinking nothing of it. "Well, I like having the space. Makes it feel more like home." Jenna raised an eyebrow but didn't respond. A few days later, she made another comment, this time about my finances. "It must be nice not to have any real responsibilities like kids or a husband to take care of." That stung. I had always wanted a family, but life hadn't worked out that way yet. I wasn't even sure if Jenna was trying to be hurtful or if she was just speaking without thinking. Either way, the comment lingered in my mind. The tension escalated when I returned home one evening after a long day at work. I put my key in the front door and turned it, but nothing happened. Confused, I tried again. No luck. I stood there on the porch, my mind racing. Maybe the lock was jammed, but that didn't make sense. There had been no issues with it earlier. I knocked, expecting Jenna to answer. She took her time, and when she finally opened the door, I could see immediately that something was off. The locks had been changed. "What's going on, Jenna? Why doesn't my key work?" I demanded, my voice filled with a mix of confusion and frustration. Jenna stood there, leaning against the doorframe, as if she had been expecting this moment. "Oh, that," she said nonchalantly. "I had the locks changed today. Needed some extra security, after everything I've been through." I couldn't believe my ears. "What? You can't just change the locks on my house without asking me." She shrugged as if it were no big deal. "It's just for a little while. You're out at work all day and I'm here alone. I needed to feel safe." "Jenna, this is my home. You can't just lock me out of my own house." I snapped, struggling to keep my anger in check. Jenna crossed her arms, her expression unbothered. "I talked to Dad about it, and he agrees. He thinks it's only fair since I'm going through a tough time. You don't really need all this space, and I need somewhere to stay." The weight of her words hit me like a ton of bricks. She had spoken to our father, my father, about this, and he had agreed. I felt my blood pressure rise as I pulled out my phone and called him, hoping he would talk some sense into her. But when he picked up, his voice was eerily calm, as though I were the unreasonable one. "Look, she's your sister," he said, his tone patronizing. "She's going through a lot right now. She needs stability. You've been doing fine on your own, haven't you? It's just a house. Let her stay until she's back on her feet." "Dad, it's my house!" I nearly yelled, my voice shaking with disbelief. "I bought it with my own money, and she can't just take over like this. You don't understand. She's changed the locks. I can't even get in." He sighed as if I were a child throwing a tantrum. "It's just temporary. Don't be so selfish." Selfish. That word cut through me like a knife. My father had always favored Jenna in small ways, but this was beyond anything I could have imagined. I couldn't believe he was taking her side after everything I had done to build my life and my home. In his eyes, My hard work, my independence, none of it mattered. All that mattered was Jenna's convenience. For the next few days, I was forced to stay at a hotel while I tried to figure out what to do. Jenna had completely taken over my house, and every attempt I made to talk to her or our father ended in frustration. My own family had turned against me, and I felt utterly betrayed. It wasn't just about the house anymore. It was about respect. The respect that I thought my family had for me was nowhere to be found. I finally decided to take legal action. I contacted a lawyer, and though the process was emotionally exhausting, it became clear that I had a strong case. The house was legally mine, and Jenna had no right to change the locks or force me out. But while the legalities were on my side, the emotional toll was devastating. My sister, a person I had grown up with, shared childhood memories with, had become a stranger, someone who seemed completely indifferent to the pain she was causing. And my father? He didn't just stand by, he encouraged it. I'll never forget the day the legal proceedings reached a conclusion. I had been able to prove without a doubt that the house was mine, and Jenna was forced to vacate. As I walked through the front door for the first time after weeks of being locked out, I was hit by an overwhelming sense of sadness. My house no longer felt like my own. Jenna had changed so many things. She had redecorated, thrown away some of my personal belongings, and rearranged the furniture. It was like she had tried to erase any trace of me. I sat down in the living room, the place that once felt like my sanctuary, and tears welled up in my eyes. I had won the legal battle, but at what cost? My relationship with my sister was beyond repair. And my father? We barely spoke after that. I couldn't forgive him for choosing Jenna over me, for dismissing everything I had worked for as though it didn't matter. The betrayal was deeper than I could have imagined. I had always thought that family would support me no matter what, but this experience had shown me that blood wasn't always thicker than water. Sometimes the people you love the most are the ones who can hurt you in ways no one else can. Even though I got my house back, I realized I had lost something far more valuable, the trust I once had in my family. The walls of my home, once filled with warmth and love, now echoed with the cold, painful memories of what had transpired. Every corner, every piece of furniture reminded me of the betrayal, and no amount of redecorating or rearranging could ever truly erase the damage that had been done. After inviting her heartbroken sister to stay temporarily, the protagonist's life takes an unexpected turn when her sister locks her out of her own house and refuses to leave. Shockingly, their father sides with the sister, claiming she needs the home more. As legal battles ensue, the protagonist realizes that the betrayal from her own family cuts deeper than any physical loss, forcing her to question the true meaning of family loyalty.